This is my true story. My son locked me in the basement because he said I smelled too bad to live upstairs. I'm 78 years old and he treated me like garbage, shoved me into a cold, dark basement and locked the door, fed me like an animal, humiliated me every single day. But he forgot one thing. I still owned everything. Every property, every account, $42 million in assets all in my name. So I called my lawyer, and when my son found out what I did to his inheritance, his whole life fell apart. But you won't believe what happened next. Before that, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. And please subscribe to this channel so that my stories can reach more people. I started with nothing. Born in a poor neighborhood, parents worked factory jobs. We lived in a tiny house with 6 people and 1 bathroom. I wore hand-me-down clothes that didn't fit, ate the same cheap meals every night. But I was determined to do better, to build something, to create wealth so my family would never struggle like I did. I started working at 15, saved every penny. By the time I was 25, I had enough for a down payment on a small rental property, 1 duplex in a rough part of town. That was the beginning. I worked construction during the day, managed that rental property at night and on weekends, fixed toilets, painted walls, collected rent, dealt with problem tenants. It was hard, exhausting, but the property made money, so I saved that money and bought another property, then another. I worked like a machine for 30 years, no vacations, no luxuries, just work and save and invest. My wife supported me. She worked too. We were a team, building something together, building a future for our son. By the time I was 50, I owned 12 rental properties, apartment buildings, small office spaces, some land I was holding for development. The real estate market was good to me. I was smart about location, smart about timing. My portfolio grew. I reinvested everything, bought more, expanded. By 60, I was worth $10 million. By 70, I was worth $42 million. $42 million in real estate and investments. More money than I ever dreamed of having. And I did it all myself. Every property, every deal, every dollar earned through my sweat and my decisions. I gave my son everything growing up. Private school, even though it hurt our budget. College paid in full. A new car when he graduated. I gave him his first job working for me managing properties. Paid him well, taught him the business. When he got married, I paid for the wedding. $30,000 for one day. I bought them a house as a wedding gift. A beautiful house in a good neighborhood. Gave them the down payment. Helped with their mortgage. I wanted him to have an easier start than I did. Wanted him to have advantages, opportunities. When he said he wanted to start his own business, I gave him $200,000. Just gave it to him. Told him to follow his dreams. His business failed in 2 years. Lost all my money. He didn't apologize. Didn't try to pay me back. Just said it didn't work out and moved on. I didn't push it. He was my son. I wanted to support him. Wanted him to succeed. So I gave him more. Gave him 3 properties to manage. Paid him a salary to run them. Set him up so he would always have income. Always have security. I thought I was being a good father. Thought I was setting him up for success. Thought he would appreciate what I built for him. I told him everything would be his someday. All $42 million. All the properties. All the investments. I said I worked my whole life to create generational wealth for our family, so he would never struggle, so his kids would never struggle. I thought that's what fathers were supposed to do. Build something and pass it down, create a legacy. But somewhere along the way, my son changed. Or maybe he was always like this and I didn't see it. He became entitled, lazy, ungrateful. He spent money faster than he made it. Always wanted more. Always complained he didn't have enough. Even though I gave him everything, even though he lived in a house I bought, drove cars I helped pay for, had a lifestyle funded by my money, it was never enough. He looked at my wealth and saw it as his. Saw it as something he was owed. Something he deserved just for being my son. When my wife died 3 years ago, I was devastated. Lost my partner, my best friend. The person I built everything with. I was alone in our big house. My son said I should move in with him. Said I shouldn't be alone at my age. I thought he cared. Thought he wanted to take care of me like I took care of him. So I sold my house and moved into his. brought my savings, my personal belongings. Thought I would spend my final years with family. Thought I would be loved and respected. I was wrong. So terribly wrong. The first month living with my son was okay. He was polite. His wife smiled at me. They set me up in a guest room on the second floor. I tried to stay out of their way, tried to be helpful. I cooked sometimes, cleaned up after myself, paid for groceries, tried to contribute. But things changed fast. My son started getting annoyed with me, annoyed that I was there, annoyed that I existed in his space. He made comments, said I walked too slow, said I was always in the way, said I made too much noise in the morning. His wife was worse. She looked at me like I was dirty, like I disgusted her. She would wrinkle her nose when I walked into a room, would open windows like I brought in bad air. One day I heard her talking to my son in the kitchen. She said, "Why does he have to be here?" Said he's old and gross. Said old people smell bad and she didn't want that smell in her house. My son laughed, didn't defend me, didn't tell her to stop. Just laughed and agreed. Said, "Yeah, he does smell pretty bad, doesn't he?" I was standing right outside the kitchen, heard every word. I went to my room and cried. I showered twice a day, wore clean clothes, used deodorant and cologne. I wasn't dirty, I wasn't gross, I was just old. My body didn't work like it used to. I had arthritis, my hands shook sometimes. I moved slower. But I wasn't disgusting. I was a human being, their family. But they treated me like I was trash, like I was something that needed to be hidden away. They started avoiding me, would eat dinner without me, wouldn't tell me they were eating. I would come downstairs and find dirty dishes in the sink. They ate without inviting me. I started eating alone in my room, microwaving food, eating in silence, feeling like an unwanted guest in a house where I was supposed to be family. My son stopped talking to me unless he needed something, stopped asking how I was, stopped pretending to care. His wife got meaner. She made comments every day, said I smelled like a nursing home, said I needed to stay in my room more, said I was embarrassing when their friends came over. One time they had a dinner party and she told me to stay upstairs, said she didn't want me around their guests, said I would make the house smell bad. I stayed in my room all night listening to laughter and conversation downstairs, feeling worthless, feeling hated, in a house my money helped pay for. My son started yelling at me, over small things. I left a cup in the living room and he screamed that I was a slob. I asked him a question and he told me to shut up. I moved his newspaper and he said I was losing my mind. Everything I did was wrong. Everything about me annoyed him. He looked at me with contempt, with disgust. This man I raised, this man I gave everything to, looking at me like I was nothing, like I was a burden he wanted gone. I tried to talk to him, tried to ask what I did wrong, tried to apologize for whatever I did to make him hate me. He said I didn't do anything wrong, said I was just old, said old people are hard to live with, said I smelled and made noise and took up space, said he was doing me a favor letting me live there. Letting me. Like it was charity. Like I should be grateful. I paid for his house. I gave him everything he had. But he acted like I owed him. His wife suggested I move to a nursing home, said it would be better for everyone, said I would be happier around people my own age. But I knew what she really meant. She wanted me gone, wanted me out of her house, out of her life. My son agreed with her, said maybe it's time, maybe I should look at facilities. I said no, said I wanted to stay with family. He looked annoyed, looked at his wife, and I saw it in his eyes. He didn't see me as family anymore. He saw me as a problem he needed to solve, and the solution he came up with destroyed me. It was a Tuesday morning. I woke up and went downstairs for breakfast. My son was already in the kitchen. His wife was there too. They both looked at me when I walked in, looked at each other. My son said, "We need to talk." I said, "Okay." Sat down at the table. He stayed standing. Said the smell was getting worse. Said they couldn't live like this anymore. Said they tried to be patient, but it was too much. I didn't understand. Asked what he meant. He said I smelled so bad it was making the whole house stink. Said his wife couldn't sleep. Couldn't have friends over. Couldn't live normally because of me. I said I was sorry. Said I didn't know it was that bad. Said I would shower more, use different soap, whatever they wanted. His wife rolled her eyes. Said that wouldn't work. Said old people smell just comes from being old. Can't wash it away. My son agreed. Said they found a solution. A temporary solution until we figured something else out. I asked what solution. He walked over and grabbed my arm, pulled me up from the chair, started dragging me toward the basement door. I asked what he was doing. He didn't answer. Just pulled me harder. I tried to resist, but I'm old, weak. He's strong. He opened the basement door and pushed me toward the stairs. I said, "Wait." Said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You're going to stay down here for a while." Down in the basement. Said it was finished. Had a bathroom. Had a bed. Said I would be fine. I said no. Said I didn't want to go down there. He pushed me. Actually pushed me. I almost fell down the stairs, caught myself on the railing. He said, "Get down there now." His voice was mean, angry. I had never heard him talk to me like that. I was scared. Actually scared of my own son. I walked down the stairs slowly, my legs shaking. The basement was cold, dark, concrete floors, one small window up high. There was a cot in the corner, a thin blanket, a small bathroom with just a toilet and sink. That was it. No heating, no proper light, just cold and damp and empty. I turned around. My son was standing at the top of the stairs. I said, "Please don't do this." Said, "I'm your father." He said, "I know." Said that's why he wasn't kicking me out completely. Said I should be grateful. Said at least I had a roof over my head. I climbed back up the stairs, begged him. Said I would do anything. Would stay in my room. Would never come out. Just please don't lock me down here. He put his hand on my chest, pushed me back. I stumbled, almost fell again. He said, "This is how it is now. Deal with it." He closed the door. I heard the lock click, heard him walk away. I banged on the door, screamed his name, begged him to let me out, said I was sorry, said I would be better. No response, just silence. I kept banging, kept yelling. My fists hurt. My throat was raw. Nobody came. I heard the TV turn on upstairs, heard them talking and laughing like nothing happened, like they didn't just lock their father in a basement like an animal. I sat on the stairs and cried harder than I cried when my wife died, because at least when she died I knew she loved me, knew I mattered to her. But my son didn't love me, didn't care about me, just locked me away because I was inconvenient, because I smelled bad, because I was old and embarrassing. I gave this man everything, built a fortune for him, sacrificed my whole life so he could have comfort. And this was how he repaid me, by shoving me in a basement and locking the door. I looked around that cold, dark space, at the concrete walls, at the tiny window that barely let in light, at the cot with its thin blanket. This was my home now. This was where my son decided I belonged. In the basement, away from sight, away from his life. Like trash he didn't want to throw away completely, but didn't want to look at either. And I realized my son wasn't just cruel, he was evil. And I had been blind to it my whole life. I spent the first night on that cot shivering. The basement was freezing, no heat, just cold concrete and damp air that seeped into my bones. The blanket was thin, useless. I curled up trying to stay warm, but couldn't. My arthritis flared up from the cold, my joints ached, my back screamed. I didn't sleep. Just laid there in the dark, listening to footsteps above me. Listening to my son and his wife living their comfortable lives while I froze in their basement. I heard them laugh, heard the TV, heard normal life happening while I suffered below. Morning came. I heard footsteps on the stairs. The door opened. My son appeared. Didn't come down, just stood at the top. Threw a paper bag down the stairs. It landed on the concrete floor. He said, "There's your breakfast." Then he closed the door, locked it again. I picked up the bag. Inside was a cold bagel and a bottle of water. No plate, no napkin. Just food thrown at me like I was a dog. I ate it sitting on the floor because there was nowhere else to sit except that cot. The bagel was stale, hard to chew, but I was hungry, so I ate it. That became my routine. Twice a day, morning and evening. He would open the door, throw food down, close the door. Sometimes it was a sandwich, sometimes leftover pizza, sometimes just crackers and cheese. Always cold, always thrown. Never handed to me like a human being. Just tossed down the stairs. Sometimes the food would spill, roll across the dirty floor. I would have to pick it up, wipe it off, eat it anyway because that's all I got. I felt like a prisoner, like an animal in a cage, fed just enough to stay alive but treated like I didn't matter. The bathroom was terrible. A toilet and a sink. No shower, no mirror. The water was cold. I tried to wash myself with the sink, but it was hard. I'm old. I can't bend like I used to, can't reach everywhere. I did my best, but I felt dirty all the time, felt disgusting. Maybe they were right. Maybe I did smell bad. But how was I supposed to stay clean in a basement with just a sink and cold water? They created the problem they complained about, locked me in conditions that made me worse, then probably complained upstairs about how bad I smelled. The days blurred together. I lost track of time, no clock, no calendar, just darkness and cold and the same routine. Wake up, wait for food, eat, wait, sleep, wake up, wait for food, eat, wait, sleep, over and over. My mind started going fuzzy. I talked to myself, talked to my dead wife, asked her why this was happening, asked her what I did to deserve this. She didn't answer. Just my voice echoing in the empty basement. I thought about my life, about all the work I did, all the money I made, all the sacrifice, and this was where I ended up. In a basement, alone, treated like garbage by my own son. I thought about the properties I owned, the buildings with my name on them, the bank accounts full of money I earned, $42 million. And I was living like a homeless person in my son's basement. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was a rich man being treated like I had nothing, because my son thought he already owned everything, thought I was just a dying old man who would leave him everything soon. So why treat me well? Why show respect? I was just a temporary inconvenience, something to tolerate until I died and he got his inheritance. But what my son forgot was simple. I wasn't dead yet. The money was still mine. The properties were still in my name. I still had power. I still had control. He thought locking me in a basement made me helpless, made me powerless. But he was wrong. I still had my phone, still had my lawyer's number, and I was done being a victim, done being treated like trash. My son wanted to lock me away. Fine. But I was going to make sure he paid for it, paid with the only thing he actually cared about, his inheritance. My son was stupid. That's the truth. He was greedy and cruel, but also stupid. He thought because I was old, I was helpless. Thought because he locked me in a basement, I had no power. Thought he could treat me however he wanted because I had nowhere to go, no way to fight back. But he forgot something important. He forgot that I built everything he had, forgot that every property he managed belonged to me, forgot that every dollar in every account had my name on it, not his, mine. He had nothing. He just thought he had everything because I let him think that. I still had my phone. My son never thought to take it. Why would he? I was just a confused old man locked in a basement. What was I going to do? Call someone? Complain? He probably thought I was too ashamed, too broken, too scared. He was wrong. I charged my phone at the outlet near the bathroom, the only outlet in the whole basement. I sat on that cold floor every night with my phone, looking at my contacts, looking at my accounts, looking at everything I built, everything I owned, everything my son thought he would inherit. I opened my banking app, looked at my accounts, millions of dollars, all accessible, all under my control. My son had access to some accounts, the ones for the properties he managed, but not the main accounts, not the personal ones, not the investment accounts. Those were mine alone. He probably assumed when I died everything would transfer to him automatically. That's not how it works. But he didn't know that, didn't understand estate law, didn't understand that I controlled everything until my last breath, and even after that I controlled it through my will, my will. I made it 10 years ago. Simple document. Everything to my son. He was my only child, my only heir. It made sense at the time. But that was before. Before he locked me in a basement. Before he treated me like an animal. before he showed me who he really was. That will was still valid, still active, still said he got everything. But wills can be changed. Anytime, for any reason, as long as the person is alive and mentally competent. And I was both. Very much alive, very much competent, and very, very angry. I thought about calling the police, thought about telling them I was being held against my will, that my son locked me in his basement, that I was being abused. Elder abuse. That's what they call it. It's illegal. He could go to jail, but I wanted something more than that. Wanted him to hurt the way he hurt me. Jail time wasn't enough. I wanted to destroy him, wanted to take away everything he cared about, everything he was waiting for, his inheritance, his future wealth, his comfortable life built on my money. I wanted to burn it all down. I had my lawyer's number in my phone. We talked regularly about business, about properties, about investments. He knew my portfolio, knew my assets, knew everything. He also knew my will. He was the one who drafted it. He could change it too. All I had to do was call him, tell him what I wanted. He would make it happen, make it legal, make it permanent. My son had no idea what was coming. No idea that his cruelty was about to cost him $42 million. I sat on that cot one night, 4th week in the basement, maybe 5th. I lost count. My body hurt. My spirit was crushed. But my mind was clear, crystal clear. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I pulled out my phone, looked at my lawyer's name in my contacts. My finger hovered over the call button. This was it. The moment that would change everything. The moment I would take my power back. The moment I would show my son that you can't lock your father in a basement and expect to inherit his fortune. I pressed call. The phone rang 3 times. My lawyer answered, asked how I was. I said not good, said I needed help, needed him to come see me, needed to change my will. He asked if everything was okay. I said no, said everything was wrong. And then I told him about the basement, about the lock, about being fed like an animal, about my son's cruelty. He was silent. Then he said he would be there tomorrow, said he would bring help, said we would fix this. And I believed him. My lawyer asked me questions, asked where exactly I was. I told him my son's address, told him I was in the basement. He asked if the door was locked. I said yes. Locked from the outside. I couldn't get out even if I tried. He asked how long I'd been down there. I said weeks, maybe a month. I honestly didn't know anymore. Time stopped meaning anything in that dark, cold space. He asked if I was hurt. I said physically no. But mentally, yes. Emotionally destroyed. He said he was going to help me, said he was going to get me out. I started crying, actually crying on the phone. Because someone finally cared, someone finally listened. He asked about my will, asked if I still wanted my son to inherit everything. I said no, said absolutely not, said I wanted him removed, completely. Every property, every account, every single dollar. I didn't want my son to get anything, not 1 cent. He caused this. He chose cruelty. He chose to lock his father away like garbage, so he deserved nothing. My lawyer asked if I was sure, asked if I wanted to think about it. I said I never been more sure of anything in my life. My son destroyed whatever love I had left for him. He killed it, locked it in a basement and let it die. Now I was going to kill his future. My lawyer said we needed to document everything, needed proof, needed evidence of what my son did. He said he would bring police, adult protective services, social workers, people who handle elder abuse cases. They would document the basement, take photos, take my statement, build a case, not just for the will change, but for criminal charges if I wanted. I said I wanted everything, wanted my son to pay in every possible way, wanted him to lose everything, his inheritance, his freedom, his reputation, everything. I asked how fast we could change the will. He said we could do it immediately, as soon as he got me out. As long as I was mentally competent. As long as I understood what I was doing. He would bring the documents, bring witnesses, bring a notary. We could execute a new will right there. That day. Before my son even knew what was happening. I said yes. Said do it. Said I wanted it done as fast as possible. before something happened to me. Before my son decided the basement wasn't enough and did something worse. We talked about where the money would go. He asked if I had other family, distant relatives maybe. I said yes. I had a niece I hadn't talked to in years. My brother's daughter. She was a good person, a teacher, struggled financially, raised 3 kids on her own after her husband left. She never asked me for anything, never even knew how much money I had. I said, give her some. Give her enough to change her life, pay off her debts, send her kids to college. She deserved it. She was actual family, not like my son who was family in name only. My lawyer asked about charities. I said yes. Give most of it to charities, homeless shelters, organizations that help abused elderly people, cancer research, whatever helped people who actually needed it. I didn't care about the specifics. I just cared that my son got nothing, that he would watch $42 million go to everyone except him, that he would realize his cruelty cost him everything. That was the important part. Making sure he understood, making sure he felt the loss, making sure he suffered like he made me suffer. My lawyer said he would be there first thing in the morning, said 9 a.m., said to be ready, said once they came things would move fast, police would secure the scene, get me out, get me safe. Then we would handle the legal part, the will, the documents, everything. He said my son couldn't stop it, couldn't fight it, couldn't do anything once it was done. The power was mine, the choice was mine, and I was choosing to destroy him. I hung up the phone and sat in the dark. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than despair. I felt hope. I felt power. I felt like I mattered again. My son thought he won, thought he solved his problem by hiding me away, but he just made the biggest mistake of his life, and tomorrow morning he would start paying for it. 9 a.m. The next morning I heard cars outside. Multiple cars, doors slamming, voices, loud voices. My son's voice, confused, angry, asking what was going on. Then I heard my lawyer's voice, calm, professional, telling my son to step aside, telling him police needed to access the basement. My son said no, said there was nothing down there, said they didn't have permission to enter his house. My lawyer said they had probable cause, had reason to believe an elderly person was being held against their will. That's all they needed. I heard footsteps at the basement door. Someone tried the handle, found it locked, asked my son for the key. He refused, said he didn't have to give them anything. Then I heard a louder voice. Police officer. Told my son to open the door immediately or they would force entry. Said he could cooperate or be arrested for obstruction. My son's wife was screaming in the background, saying this was harassment, saying they would sue. But the officer didn't care, gave my son 10 seconds, started counting. At 7, my son gave up. I heard keys, heard the lock turn. The door opened. Light flooded down the stairs. After weeks in dim basement light, the brightness hurt my eyes. I squinted, saw shapes, people coming down. My lawyer came first, saw me sitting on that cot. His face changed, looked shocked, looked horrified. He said my name, asked if I was okay. I said no, said I hadn't been okay in a long time. Behind him came 2 police officers, a woman with a camera, a social worker with a clipboard. They looked around the basement, at the concrete, at the cold, at the tiny bathroom, at me sitting there in dirty clothes on a cot with a thin blanket. The woman started taking photos, photos of everything, the conditions, the space, me. The social worker came over, knelt down, asked me questions. How long had I been here? I said weeks. Did I want to be here? I said no. I was locked in. Did my son provide adequate food? I said he threw food down the stairs twice a day like I was an animal. She wrote everything down, took notes, looked at me with pity and anger. One of the officers went back upstairs. I heard him talking to my son. Heard my son making excuses, saying it was temporary, saying I agreed to it, saying I was confused. The officer didn't believe him, told him to sit down, told him not to leave. My lawyer helped me stand. My legs were weak, shaky. He supported me as we walked up the stairs. Each step hurt. My body wasn't used to moving. When I got to the top, I saw my son, sitting on his couch, face red, jaw clenched, his wife next to him looking terrified. They both stared at me. I stared back. Didn't say anything. Just looked at the man who did this to me, the man I gave everything to, the man who locked me in a basement because I smelled bad. I felt nothing but disgust. The police asked if I wanted to press charges. I said yes. Said I wanted him charged with everything possible. Elder abuse, false imprisonment, whatever they could charge him with. One officer nodded, told my son to stand up, started reading him his rights. My son's face went white, started saying this was insane, started saying I was lying, that I was confused, that I chose to be down there. The social worker cut him off, said she had photos, had my statement, had evidence, said he could tell his lies to a judge. His wife started crying, saying they didn't do anything wrong, saying I was difficult, saying they were just trying to help. Nobody listened to her. My lawyer took me outside, took me to his car. We sat in the back seat. He pulled out papers, the new will, everything already prepared. He explained each section, showed me where I was removing my son, showed me where the money would go. My niece would get $5 million. Various charities would get the rest. Organizations for elder abuse, homeless shelters, food banks, groups that actually helped people. My son would get $0. He showed me the number, written clearly, $0, 0 cents. I smiled. First time in weeks. Then I signed. Right there in the car, my lawyer's assistant witnessed. A notary stamped it. It was done. Legal. Binding. Final. My son just lost $42 million and didn't even know it yet. My lawyer got me a hotel room that day. A nice one, clean bed, heat, a real shower with hot water. I stood under that shower for 30 minutes crying, washing away weeks of filth, washing away the humiliation, the pain, the feeling of being worthless. When I got out, I looked in the mirror. I looked terrible, lost weight, gray skin, bruises on my arms from the cold concrete, eyes sunken. But I was free, actually free, and my son had no idea what was coming for him. I stayed in that hotel for 2 months. My lawyer handled everything. Got me a doctor, got me therapy, got me healthy again. The police investigation moved forward. My son was charged with elder abuse and unlawful imprisonment. His wife was charged as an accomplice. They hired lawyers, expensive lawyers, started fighting the charges, started claiming I was mentally unfit, that I made everything up, that I was confused and bitter. But the evidence was clear. The photos of the basement, my medical reports showing malnutrition and exposure, the statements from the social worker, the locked door. They had no defense, just lies that nobody believed. During those 2 months, my lawyer sent my son several letters, business letters about the properties, about management issues, about routine things. My son responded to all of them, still acting like everything was normal, still acting like he would inherit everything someday. He had no idea the will changed, no idea he was already cut out. My lawyer said we should tell him, should inform him officially. I said no, said I wanted him to find out the worst possible way, wanted it to hurt as much as possible. So we waited for the perfect moment. That moment came when my lawyer called my son for a meeting, said it was about estate planning, about updating some documents, about making sure everything was in order. My son agreed immediately. Probably thought it was routine, probably thought he was going to sign some papers that made his inheritance official. He had no idea. My lawyer scheduled it for a Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. at his office downtown. Professional setting, neutral ground. My son confirmed he would be there, said he was looking forward to it, looking forward to finalizing everything. My lawyer smiled when he told me that, said your son has no idea what's about to happen. The day came. My son showed up on time, brought his wife, both dressed nicely. My son wore a suit, looked confident, looked like a man about to secure his fortune. They walked into my lawyer's office smiling, shook his hand, sat down in the leather chairs, made small talk about the weather, about business. My lawyer offered them coffee. They accepted, acted like this was just another meeting, just another formality. They had no idea their lives were about to explode. My lawyer opened his briefcase, pulled out a folder, thick folder full of documents. My son leaned forward, eager, ready to hear good news, ready to hear about his inheritance. My lawyer cleared his throat, said, "Before we begin, I need to inform you this meeting is being recorded." My son looked confused but said, "Okay." Said he had nothing to hide. My lawyer pressed record on a device. Then he opened the folder, pulled out the first document, the new will, the one I signed 2 months ago, the one that erased my son completely. My lawyer said, "We're here today to discuss your father's estate." My son nodded, said yes, looking forward to getting everything sorted. My lawyer said, "I need to inform you of some changes that have been made. Changes to the will, changes to the distribution of assets." My son's smile faded a little, said, "What changes?" My lawyer looked him directly in the eyes, said, "Your father revised his will 8 weeks ago. You have been removed as beneficiary." My son laughed, nervous laugh. Said, "What?" Said, "That's not funny." My lawyer said, "I'm not joking. You inherit nothing. The estate valued at $42 million will be distributed to other parties. You receive $0, 0 cents. The color drained from my son's face. Actually drained. He went from normal color to gray in seconds. His mouth opened. No words came out. Just stared. His wife grabbed his arm. Said, "What is he talking about?" My son couldn't speak, couldn't process, just sat there frozen, and my lawyer kept talking, kept explaining, kept destroying him one word at a time. My lawyer pulled out the document, showed my son the signature page. My signature, clear as day, dated 2 months ago, notarized, witnessed, legal and binding. My son grabbed it, stared at it, said, "This can't be real." Said, "I wouldn't do this." My lawyer said, "Your father was very clear about his wishes." Said, "After being locked in your basement for weeks, he decided you didn't deserve his estate." My son's face went from gray to red, started yelling, said that basement thing was a misunderstanding, said I was confused, said I agreed to stay down there. My lawyer said, "That's not what the police report says, not what the photos show, not what your father's statement says. You abused him, and now you pay the price." His wife started screaming. Actually screaming. Said this was insane. Said I was a vindictive old man. Said they took care of me. Said they let me live in their house. My lawyer stayed calm. Said you locked him in your basement, fed him like an animal, treated him like garbage. That's not taking care of someone. That's abuse. She said, "We're going to fight this. Going to contest the will. Going to prove he wasn't mentally competent." My lawyer smiled. Said, "You're welcome to try." Said 2 doctors evaluated him before he signed. Both certified he was of sound mind. Both signed affidavits. Both will testify if needed. You have no case. My son stood up, started pacing, ran his hands through his hair. Said this can't be happening. Said he counted on that money, planned for it, needed it. My lawyer said, "That's not your father's problem. The money is his to distribute as he sees fit, and he saw fit to give it to people who aren't you." My son asked where it was going, who was getting it. My lawyer pulled out another page, read the list. 5 million to your father's niece, 10 million to the National Council on Aging, 10 million to various homeless shelters, 10 million to food banks, 7 million split between other charities focused on elder abuse prevention. Total distribution $42 million. Amount to you 0. My son collapsed back into his chair, put his face in his hands. His wife was crying now, crying and yelling at the same time, saying they had plans, saying they bought things on credit expecting the inheritance, saying they were in debt, saying they needed that money. My lawyer said, "You spent money you didn't have based on an assumption. That was your mistake. Your father owed you nothing, especially after what you did to him." She said, "He's a cruel old man," said he's destroying us. My lawyer said, "No, you destroyed yourselves. You chose cruelty. You chose abuse. This is consequence." My son looked up, eyes red. Asked if there was any way to fix this, any way to change my mind. My lawyer said, "Your father doesn't want contact with you, doesn't want to see you, doesn't want to hear from you. He's done. You're cut off completely, not just from inheritance, from his life." My son started begging, said he was sorry, Said he made a mistake. Said he would do anything to fix it. My lawyer said it's too late. The will is executed, filed with the court, legal and final. There's nothing to fix. It's over. The meeting ended. My son and his wife left the office destroyed, broken. Their entire future gone. The money they counted on. The wealth they assumed was theirs. The comfortable life they planned. All of it vanished in one meeting. My lawyer called me after they left, told me everything, told me how my son looked, how he begged, how his wife screamed, how they both left crying and desperate. I felt nothing, no guilt, no sadness, just satisfaction, just justice. They treated me like garbage. Now they had nothing, just like they made me feel like nothing. The criminal charges moved forward. My son was convicted of elder abuse, got probation and community service. Could have been jail time, but the judge was lenient. His reputation was destroyed, though. Everyone knew what he did. News covered it. Local papers. His business suffered. Clients left. Nobody wanted to work with the man who locked his father in a basement. His wife left him 6 months later, said she didn't sign up for this, didn't sign up for poverty and shame. She wanted the rich life, the inheritance. When that disappeared, so did she. My son lost everything. His money, his wife, his reputation, his future. And I didn't feel bad for him at all. I live in a senior community now. Nice place. Clean. Warm. People treat me with respect. I have my own apartment, 1 bedroom, full kitchen, bathroom with a walk-in shower, heat that actually works, windows that let in real sunlight. Everything the basement wasn't. I wake up every morning grateful, grateful to be warm, grateful to be safe, grateful to be treated like a human being. The other residents are kind. We play cards, eat meals together, talk about our lives. Nobody locks me away. Nobody tells me I smell. Nobody treats me like I'm worthless. My niece visits me once a month. She cried when she found out about the 5 million. Said she couldn't accept it. I told her she had to. Told her she deserved it. She's a good person. Raised 3 kids alone. Worked hard her whole life. Never asked anyone for anything. She used some of the money to pay off her debts. Sent her oldest to college. Bought a reliable car. Put the rest in savings for her other kids. She thanks me every time she visits. Brings her children to see me. They call me uncle. They hug me. They actually love me. Real love. Not fake love based on money. That's what family is supposed to be. The charities send me updates. Tell me what they're doing with the money. The elder abuse prevention organizations opened 3 new shelters. Helped hundreds of seniors escape bad situations. The homeless shelters fed thousands of people. Gave them beds. Gave them hope. The food banks distributed meals to families who couldn't afford groceries. My money did more good in 1 year than my son would have done in his entire life. That makes me proud. Makes my life's work mean something. I didn't just build wealth. I used it to help people. To make the world slightly better. My son calls sometimes, leaves voicemails, begging, apologizing, saying he's sorry, saying he made a terrible mistake, saying he loves me, saying please forgive him. I never answer, never call back, never listen to the full messages, just delete them. He had his chance, had years to treat me right, to show love, to be a good son. He chose cruelty instead, chose to lock me in a basement, chose money over family. Now he has to live with that choice, has to live knowing he destroyed his own future, has to live knowing his father died without forgiving him, because I won't. I'll never forgive what he did. His life fell apart completely, lost his business, lost his house, had to move into a small apartment. Works a regular job now, nothing fancy, just enough to survive. His friends abandoned him, his wife left. He's alone, struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. Everything he feared, everything he tried to avoid by waiting for my inheritance. And it's his own fault. If he had just treated me with basic decency, basic respect, if he had just let me live upstairs like a human being instead of locking me in a basement, he would have inherited $42 million, would have been set for life, but he couldn't do that, couldn't be kind, and now he has nothing. I'm 79 years old now. Don't have many years left probably, but the years I have left are good, peaceful. I'm surrounded by kindness, by people who value me, by family who actually loves me. Not the family I was born into, but the family I chose. My niece, her kids, the friends I made here. They care about me. Not my money, not my property. Just me, the person. That's all I ever wanted. All I needed. Just to be seen as a human being worthy of love and respect. My son made me kneel in that basement. Made me feel worthless. Made me question my value as a person. But when my lawyer read that new will, when my son's face went pale, when he realized he lost everything, that was justice. That was revenge. That was me taking back my power and using it to destroy the person who destroyed me. He locked me in a basement because I smelled too bad. I called my lawyer and erased him from my $42 million will. Now he's the one left with nothing but the stench of his own cruelty. And I'm free, finally free, and at peace.